couple minutes here. I just started the broadcast here. Hello, everybody. Well, actually, no one's on there right now, so it's okay. Let's see. Always got stragglers. Yeah, let's start. Hello, Gene. Oh, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Good. Welcome to the Darwin Temple Loving Kindness class. It's wonderful to be here with you today, as it is every time I do this class. I'm really grateful that we're here. And I'm really grateful for the Dharma Bum Temple. And, I remember when we started back in 2007, right at the beginning of 2007, and, it was like literally January 1st, or actually the 31st, they started the party and then, officially opened that day. And I came like maybe 3 months later in early April of 2007. And there's been a lot of change, and it's been really, really good. It was kind of up and down and up and down and up. And I like it. I like it. I like that it's kind of evolved to what it is today. And I'm just so grateful for it. When we were downtown in this little, I don't even know what it was, a little place. I never thought that we would be here, 15 years later. But I am grateful that we are. I'm grateful that we are. I had no idea, I would do my class, one time nobody showed up for for the class, I think it was still on Wednesday. And it should be okay, and it is okay if people show up, then they show up, and if not, then it's not, and it shouldn't really matter. Just be grateful for who does. And so I was just kind of thinking about that recently, about all of the change. I'm reading this. One of the things that getting up to date on things and just feeling better, because I've been feeling a little bit better these days than I was before, is that I've started reading a lot more, because I really like to read, and for a while I just couldn't concentrate enough to read more than a couple of pages. And I started reading this book, and it's called Still Flowing Water. It's by Ajahn Chah, who was a great Thai monk. He died in 1982, I think it was. But like 10 years before that, he had a stroke and he was, kind of incapacitated. But there are videos, are YouTube videos of his talks and things that he gave, and he was considered like one of the last truly like enlightened people in the Theravada community, anyway. Um, Unbelievably wise, unbelievably skilled in just kind of boiling down the Dharma into very plain language that anybody could understand. Like anybody could understand. And so, he didn't speak English; he spoke Thai, and so this is a collection. These were translated, actually translated by Tanjef up in Valley Center, who's taught here a few times. And I love his translations because he really, when he translates, he really brings the essence of what the author is trying to say. Um, and a lot of what Ajahn Chah likes to say is that make your spiritual practice, make your practice a circle. He does this analogy where he says, if somebody's trying to like pen in the goats, like if have goats, and they're trying to pen in the goats, and so they make a goat pen, but they don't finish one small section of it, all the goats are going to get out. So you have to make sure that you rein all the goats in. So you have all the goats there so they don't escape. And it's the same with your practice. A lot of people, they meditate for 15 minutes and just kind of forget about the Dharma for the rest of the day. And that's kind of normal for when you start practice. We live at a very difficult time, and I know that we do. It's very challenging. It's very traumatizing. As I have a lot of resilience because I'm older and I've just seen more things, but I can imagine that for the younger generation, it's pretty difficult. So I know that these things occur, that a lot of these distractions occur. So Ajahn Chah was very, plain spoken and says you have to make your practice a circle so that you always have to think about the Dharma. You always have to think about, it's one thing to be meditating for 15 or 30 minutes and trying to be mindful and trying to come back to the breath and trying to still the mind and quiet the mind and gladden the mind. All these things that we try to do in meditation, like tonight we're going to do a loving kindness practice. But you really need to take that out into the world when you live your life. So, and when things come up, you handle them right then and there. And in the Metta Sutra, which I'm about to read in just a little bit, there is a section that says, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, which are the four positions of meditation, or the four meditation postures, right? And it says, like, when we do those things, standing or walking, seated or lying down, always mindful, or something like that. I'll read it in just a minute. And so he says we need to bring this to our practice, and that don't wait. So whatever we're doing, if some anxiety or preoccupation comes, handle it right then and there. Right, so there's some anxiety that comes up, and I know the first thing that you're going to do is probably think about distracting yourself with something else. I get it. But Ajahn Chah is like, no, don't do that. Just take care of it right then and there. You have some thought that came up that is some memory that's unpleasant, then take care of it right then and there. Apply mindfulness to it. Understand that it's just a thought, that there's nothing there, that these thoughts, they're all empty. There's nothing to them. They're not real. They're what he calls not for sure. Nothing is for sure. All of these thoughts, all of these feelings that come up in the body, all these anxieties, they're not for sure. They do their thing for a while, then they go away to replace by something new. And so none of it's for sure. That's not for sure. And to practice in this way, whether you're seated or walking, standing or lying down, and that you should practice in this way. And so I like that. I like that a lot, and I like that I actually get to read more than a page or two before I get too kind of addled in my mind. But anyway, I was kind of thinking a lot about that. Is there anyone here who this is your first time to the Dharma Bum Temple? Welcome. How did you hear about us?
Online.
Online? Okay, thanks. Is there anyone this isn't your first time to the Dharma Bum Temple, but it's your first time to Wednesday? So you've all been here before. Good. All right. So what I'd like to do is read the Metta Sutra. Metta, for our new person, metta is what we're talking about when we're talking about loving kindness. This Buddhist word, this word from the Pali language. It means loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, and about 50 other things that are very similar, and so the Buddha, these are the Buddha's words from 2,500 years ago on this loving kindness. He says, "This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. I don't read this every week, but I like it when I do. So the ability to take our practice beyond the physical confines of the temple or beyond your own personal meditation practice is going to be really important to your overall happiness. As he says, whether seated or walking, seated or standing, walking or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. Because he wants you to protect your mind and your heart at all costs, whenever you can. Whenever thoughts of ill will come upon you, or anxiety, or sloth, or torpor, restlessness, and worry, you can do this practice of loving kindness for yourself as one strategy to make your practice a circle, to keep all the goats in the pen. Right. Don't let it get out. So we're going to have this meditation here. And then we have questions, and if you'd like to ask a question, you can certainly do that. You can ask a question now if you want. Doesn't matter. All right. Are there any questions before we start? Okay. So I'm going to guide this meditation. Are you new to meditation?
I am not.
Okay. So I'm going to guide this, so just follow along. Just let my words just kind of wash over you. You'll pay attention to the instruction, but just be sure to just kind of relax. Don't read too much into the instructions, and just do it to the best of your ability. That'll be good enough. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that nice and comfortable seated position, nice and comfortable and sustainable, so you're not likely to move around too much and distract yourself. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. Because historically, each Buddha has their own tree. So you can choose whatever tree you want. Imagining yourself there, ready for the day's abiding, ready for this sublime abiding, as the sutra says. So at first, let's just get connected to the breath, because you'll want to have about 25% of your attention on the breath at all times, just to keep you anchored to the present moment. Keep you anchored to what you're doing. Keep you anchored to your loving kindness practice. So let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. At first, not forcing it, letting the breath be quite easy, quite naturally, just watching it go all the way in through the nose and to the heart and to the navel. And on the exhale, from the navel to the heart, back out through the nose. So just for the next few moments, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. So to begin our formal practice of loving kindness, we're first going to think of a benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. You just think of this person and you smile and you're grateful for all of their love and kindness that they've shown you. It could be, other than a romantic partner, it could be pretty much anyone. Mother, father, brother, sister, best friend, whomever, doesn't matter. They could be living, they could be dead. It's all good. So just think of this person and just radiate loving kindness towards them, wishing them happiness, wishing that they do the things that cause happiness, which is our positive thoughts, words, and actions. Or if you want, you can just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them. Phrases like, may you be happy. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. So shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for our benefactor to now we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And all we have to do really is just receive, again, all of their love, all of their kindness. Again, it could be the same benefactor, it could be a different one. You could imagine them radiating loving kindness to you, maybe smiling at you. Again, the only thing you have to do is just receive this again. Receive all of it, all of their love and kindness. If there's any part of your heart or any part of your body that's feeling any tension when you do this, can you then breathe in, breathe out, and just directing the energy of the breath towards that tightness. If it loosens up and expands a little bit, then great. If not, then that's fine too. Just keep on receiving all of it, even smiling if you can. Just remembering the way or how it felt when they were so loving and kind towards you. You already have that experience in your own heart. So we'll do this just for the next few moments. Imagining our benefactor doing this practice of loving kindness for ourselves. And shifting our focus again from imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. Now, we can have loving kindness for us. We'll do this practice of loving kindness, metta, unconditional friendliness, and goodwill for ourselves. This is arguably the most important part of the practice. If we can have this feeling of loving kindness in our own heart, if we can feel it for ourselves, if we can know it for ourselves, we would never harm another human being. We would never harm ourselves again, which is what we're so good at. So just call to mind your own wish to be happy, your own wish to be healthy and free from danger, contented, easily satisfied. And you can either just imagine your heart getting bigger and warmer, kind of like the Grinch, getting bigger, warmer. Or you could just repeat these phrases of loving kindness for yourself. Phrases like, may I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. May I do the things that cause happiness. Be very gentle with yourself here. You could even whisper it if you want to. So now we'll do this practice of loving kindness for ourselves. And finally, we can explore the limitless potential of the heart to include everyone in our practice of loving kindness. And just like it says in the sutra, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Encompassing the entire world, all sentient beings. May they all be happy. So we'll do this to end our meditation. Loving kindness for all beings. Just open your eyes when you're ready. And let's just take the next moment or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs, keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about you while you do so. If you have any questions, just think about that. Ask you about your experience of meditation. Let's do this for like 45 seconds and then we'll begin. All right. Once again, that was good for me. All right. Any questions on the instructions at all? Hopefully they were relatively straightforward, but if not, certainly happy to answer any questions on the instructions. All right. I'm always interested to know what your experience of meditation was, what that loving kindness meditation was like for you, anything that came up, anything that was easy or difficult or surprising in any way, just your experience overall, meditation. Anybody would like to share their experience? We're all silent today, and that's okay. You don't have to say anything. Because sometimes, we just want to chill out and relax and just meditate. Chill out and let me say something. It is my job. That's okay. Yes.
I've done this before. I don't know if it's for you or not, but another version or something was to send loving kindness to somebody you don't like, or somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like I was giving myself like a double whammy of goodness. I mean, it was good.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you it seemed that was a positive experience.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, and yeah, you're right. So I don't do the loving kindness meditation in the way that's traditionally taught. The way that it's traditionally taught is you start with yourself, then you do a benefactor, then you do a neutral person, and then you do enemy, and then you could do all beings. And I don't do the neutral person. I don't do the enemy. Simply because of the world that we live in, it doesn't really come natural to most people. The reason why we do loving kindness for ourselves first, because it's supposed to be the easiest, because of course we love ourselves so much that this is the easiest to do loving kindness for ourselves. There should be no resistance whatsoever, right? Of course there is. We hate ourselves. And that's the culture we're brought up in. And so the idea is you do it for yourself first because that's the easiest. It's the person who is closest to your heart, and then you do the loved one, and then you do the neutral person, and then you do the enemy, right? And so it's supposed to get like progressively a little bit more difficult and challenging. But since we don't live in that kind of a culture, we shouldn't be doing it like that. And this is my view, not Buddhism's view, just mine. And so I do it this way. And like I said, I'll say it again. If you did nothing but loving kindness for yourself for a good 7 to 10 years, you'd be in really good shape. You would have that experience of loving kindness in your own heart. It would be tangible. It would be there. It would be very immediate for you. And it would naturally, without effort, just flow to everybody you met, whether you liked them or not, whether you knew them or not. Like the Tibetans. The Tibetans are very much like this. They're very big on loving kindness, very big on compassion. And so they're taught that from a very, very early age. They don't understand the idea of hating yourself. It's incredibly foreign to them. That's just not who they are. Where it's very immediate for us. And so that's why I kind of do it this way. And I love doing it this way. People seem to like it. So hopefully that helped. Absolutely. Does anybody feel differently now than maybe they did a couple of months ago?
Yes.
Yeah. I have, yeah. And maybe it's just because of the change. It's interesting, the change of the sunset, the times are changing. And, we're going to do daylight savings time like for the last time. So we're changing the clocks next month, and then we'll change them back in March, but that'll be the last time. Pretty sure that's the case, right? Yeah. So that'll be nice. And so it'll be interesting to understand people's moods then, because we won't be changing any clocks. Because it always seems to be when the days get shorter, people's moods start changing. I just kind of want to be sensitive to that. I like it. I like it. But it may not be the case for everybody. Yes.
I've been coming like a month and a half now, and I think that like I have different experiences every time I come to this class, and I find myself like when I'm downing myself about something, I stop myself because I used to just go right to I hate myself.
Right.
And now I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And I stop myself, and it's really helpful to like have that pause where I'm like, I don't hate myself.
Right.
And it's I don't just do loving kindness here. I do it at my house. I do it wherever I am to remind myself, like, you don't hate yourself.
Yeah.
You're a good person. It's really helping me a lot.
I love that. It's kind of like I was talking about earlier, like making your practice into a circle. So standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. And that's what it says in the sutra. And that's kind of what the goal is, really. That whenever you have something like that happen in the middle of the day, at your desk or in the car or wherever you happen to be at, that you can just stop and say, these negative feelings, whatever they are, they're not for sure. They're not for sure. And if we get really, really, really good, we take pleasure, we experience pleasure, and we say, that's not for sure. We experience pain, That's not for sure. Even the neutral feeling that's neither pleasant nor painful, that's not for sure. And this is the way that we calm the mind and still the mind, and it's like a tranquility practice. Um, you know, the Buddha, there's several different types of meditation in Buddhism that you can do. You can do mindfulness, you can do loving kindness, you can do compassion, you can do tranquility meditation, or it's anapanasati, like a tranquility meditation. You can do jhana, and the thing about Ajahn Chah, this incredible meditation master, he basically says, look, they're pretty much just all the same. You're trying to quiet the mind and not hold on to anything. You experience pleasure, you don't get hooked by it. Pleasure is just pleasure, and pain is just pain. And you're rejecting both of those things because you don't want to get attached to them, right? And he says, what comes of that is discernment or wisdom. So when the mind is still, when you're not holding on to pleasure and pain, discernment arises. And what arises is for sure. All of these things, all of these recursive thoughts and memories and whatever they are not for sure. Even the pleasurable parts of meditation and the painful parts of meditation are not for sure. And so we experience them and we know them. We know them fully. This is pleasure. This is pain. This is neither pleasure nor pain. Because especially in the the big mindfulness sutra, it says that, and I go into this meditative experience and I experience pleasure, but I don't get attached to it. Because it's really, really easy to get attached to it. We just want more of it. And that's when we begin to suffer. And it's the same thing with painful experiences too. And when we can put both of those aside and practice like that, and stilling and calming the mind, this discernment arises in us, this wisdom, these things that are for sure. There's this thing. It's kind of like a myth, or not a myth. It is a kind of a bit of piece of. It's not understanding the sutras or the Buddha Dharma, because people like to say everything is impermanent. It's all impermanent, and so we need to be very careful when we hear somebody say that, or when we want to say that. That's not exactly true. Because if everything was impermanent, it would be very depressing. But we want to practice impermanence so we can let go of all that impermanence. So what arises in us is permanent. So all conditioned things are impermanent. All fabricated things are impermanent. All constructed things are impermanent. Those are all the same words. They're all synonymous. It's the unconditioned, which is what we're after. That is permanent. That is for sure. So to the best of our ability, we want to practice as diligently as we can to get there. All right. You want to come up and we'll do some announcements and then we'll end.
Hello, everyone. I am tonight's host, Daryl. We opened the Dharma Bone 15 years ago to introduce Buddhism. Buddhist practice those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers. They are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing in their interpretation of the practice with others. Just about every night we have a different class led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week. for anyone who's battling addiction, drugs, alcohol, or anything else for that matter. A family summit for parents, kids, toddlers, and teens, which currently meets once a month. And we also offer a half-day silent retreat the first Saturday of the month with an RSVP required. Everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on the website. It's also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We also have a lending library, so if you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back whenever you're done. Please straighten out your seats, your cushions when you head out. Thank you for being here, and we wish to help you. Hope to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. So let's join our palms together on our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.